Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another Monday night edition of the DJ and TV chat. We've got a great show because it's not just going to be John and I tonight. No, we are bringing in the heavy
sock
hitter.
puppets. Dang it, I forgot my sock.
So we're just going to turn off the lights. And we're going to do shadow puppets.
Washcloth puppets. Well, I don't know why I got one. It's a dust rag, I bet.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like a nice
say, John, are you in the doghouse now? Yes. Are you now having to take a shower out in the studio?
Well, sometimes during these really long shows, I do, work up a sweat. And
I thought it was to dust off the Huey Lewis because
no, tonight it's Paul McCartney.
Oh, there's a light glare for me. I can't tell.
Oh, I've got to fix that. I'll have to fix that. We may have to restart the whole show. Just might have to do that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Probably we'll be okay. So,
yeah.
So tonight, we're going to talk a little bit because more DJs are getting back into doing shows, and that's going to be something that's going to really be featured tomorrow night in the show with Jay and Brian and myself. But tonight, there's going to be some things that we can do to kind of safely talk with people, and a big part of the show is going to be looking at something that can do with that. But this past weekend, I had an event that I was doing, a family reunion. It's been planned for almost a whole year, and this had people coming in, literally driving in, because most of them were afraid to fly because of the COVID situation. But there were people coming. There's Seattle, there's Northern California, Southern California, Oregon. There's some people from Ohio. There were people. There was from New Jersey. There was folks, South Carolina and Louisiana. I believe were all the states. All these people descended on this party on Saturday night, and it was one of those situations where, as the entertainer, when you have people coming from all these parts of the country, and you know that some of these areas have been hit kind of hard, you got this little leery thing going on. Can we use your microphone? How about you stand over there and I'll hold the microphone here? Yell. Wait, no, your yelling will come past me. I will catch the vapors. And I mean, all these things are going through your head, and it just becomes this thing there. It's like freaking out to a point of how safe is and what's going on. And so it was an interesting day.
Why? Now, I'm just curious. Why do we feel more nervous about that situation where people are coming from all over as opposed to that same number of people from your own town?
I think in our particular case is because we just haven't. Yeah, we have had cases and we've had families within our community, but for the most part, very few of the people have gone that far out, and there aren't that many cases through central Minnesota, and within probably 10 miles of us. 20 miles or so with some of the packing plants, they had a huge spike there, a month and a half ago or whatever it was. I don't remember, a month ago or more. So the folks in your own little small community, you kind of, feel more safe, I guess, for lack of a better way to describe it, around those folks. In theory, when you think about that, this person could have gone to this place and met that person, and that person met somebody, and they came from wherever. I mean, technically, anyone outside of your four walls is probably could have had connections, and it's like that 7 levels of separation from Kevin Bacon or whatever it is. But this is the COVID edition.
So how many people were at this event then?
There were about 80 people there. And and it was a nice crowd for what we did. Actually, I'm missing one piece, Dan. So I'm gonna go grab those pieces here in just a second. So I wanted to show a couple of the things that we've been talking about with the show with Ben Stowe also. But yeah, it was a nice crowd, and a range of ages from 5 and 6 years old all the way up to 80 somethings. And it really wasn't there. You didn't see as much hugging as you probably would, but it's just that the people were there and engaging, and you really wouldn't know that there was anything going on if you were just a person from the outside looking in. It was a different experience. You've had some venues that have been starting to open up, and their DJs are going and meeting with the venues, kind of like we've been talking about doing, is to go and have those conversations. And I've been getting feedback from DJs that some venues are going to be very a stickler for keeping that separation. And part of the DJ's job is going to be to keep reminding a crowd to have that separation. And some venues, Robin, I think it was earlier today, shared that there's a venue that she was hearing about that requires that everyone takes their mask off, that you will not wear your mask in this venue. And I've seen that on the news, that they basically said, hey, we're a mask-free zone. If you're coming in here, no masks. We don't want it. Now, I don't know if that's because of a safety thing and they're worried if somebody comes in with a mask and, pulls out a gun and, stick them up type of thing. I don't know what that reasoning is behind that. So the idea of having a to be able to engage people and to do things, that 4-foot distance, there's a possibility of being able to do that. But once alcohol becomes involved, that 4-foot distance was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, how the old, when you're doing your thing and you're ready to make an announcement, all of a sudden somebody comes up right over your shoulder. I mean, I felt I was in Walmart a couple of times with people right behind you. It's like, oh, excuse me, please. A little room. That happened, and I'm not the only one who's experiencing that, and it's probably safe type of thing, but it's still, and it kind of creeps you out just a little bit.
Well, and when you're trying to do as much as you can to be safe,
yeah,
for all the extra precautions that we're taking now, and the extra things that you might be doing with your equipment to keep yourself safe, like if somebody does use your microphone type of situation, then to have it, especially when you're least expecting it, like somebody's walking up to you and you're watching them come through the crowd and you're like, okay, they're definitely coming towards me. I got to be prepared for this. I'm going to meet them off, at the head. But if you're in the middle of the mix and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, they're right there. It can be a little daunting.
Yeah, that it can be. And it's like, it was one of those things that, we wouldn't have thought of. Gosh, this is being noisy. I'm trying to open up one of these little microphone covers so you guys can check these out.
Awesome.
That's what I was just thinking about it. And the other ones, you guys have seen those. Those are the spray. I think we talked about that with this show with Ben Stowe. It's the microphone spray. And it was the, so the microphone spray and the foam that goes over the microphones, which we've all seen those little foam pieces. But this is actually something that Ben and the crew are going to be getting in. They've got these, and they've got another version of these coming in, which is it looks like a shower cap, but it's a shower cap for the microphone. Now, not that this is going to be something that's going to protect, to help us engage as far as to safely keep the distance, but this is something that's going to be something to hopefully allow the guests to be able to make their announcements. They come to a bag, and it could be that you hand out some at the head table and give them the instructions that, because of the concern, after you've used it, maybe have someone who replaces it. I don't know. But yeah, they're just a little fabric screen that's going to catch the droplets of moisture, and it's going to hold it there and keep it away from the microphone just a little bit. So nothing super fancy by any means, but something to help protect, especially if you are a DJ who's using one microphone. That's a huge thing, because if it's one microphone, every time I'm handing it out, I'm putting one of these on and wiping that. When I get it back, I'm throwing that one away and wiping the microphone down, because you've got to be assuming, even though that 90% of the audience is probably completely, 95, maybe 100% is completely fine. We don't know. You just have to take those kind of precautions, because that's one area, and the other area is people getting too close to you. As Robin says, don't stand so close to me.
I think, and so here's one thing that I've been contemplating with that. So, and a lot of people have talked about this advice, and my first wedding where I'm going to have dual toasts, my plan is to follow this, which is microphone on a stand, the cap on the microphone, the whole 9 yards, so that nothing needs to be touched, and everything. And then I'm allowed to effectively disinfectant once it's done. My thought is if it's on the stand and the stand is there and the microphone's there and the cap is on it, that I shouldn't need to change out the caps in between people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's unidirectional. It's not, when they come up to stand there, it's the same.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be blowing back on them.
Especially if you can set it so it's like off access. That's a big thing. And that was my intent on a Sunday. We did an event where there was a microphone that one person was going to have to use, and I had set it up so it was going to be down and off access, so they would be speaking towards the camera, but the microphone's over here, and I figured this is completely safe. Well, no, people come over, grab the microphone, and go like this, and it's like, it's a shotgun mic, you're gonna blow. It's like, oh, that didn't work too well. So I think your thoughts and your plan is a good plan. It's just that the reality might be.
Well, at that point, I'm doing everything I can to kind of prevent. And if they're going to be the ones that are going to take the extra risk, then so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes who was it? Bill Engvall. Can't fix stupid.
There, I can make my microphone safe.
From yourself.
For myself. Wait a second. I'm the only one who uses this microphone. Okay. Now it sounds better.
There we go.
All right. So there's the microphone thing that's going to be an ongoing issue for a lot of us. The next area that we're dealing with is, of course, when the guests come up and they have requests or they want to do that, and that's why we were going to. Brandon, if you want to jump on in here, if you're still there with us.
He fell asleep.
He probably did. He probably there.
Oh,
he is.
there he is.
Well, hello. I mean, fall asleep's not too off. Pretty tired today, but hey.
Here we are. For those of you who don't know, Brandon is my son, and he is a computer program developer. He's one of these guys that works with the internet provider, and he's one that does that kind of coding to make those things function at a high level. So, and granted, he doesn't work for most of the areas in which you people are at, so you can't say that Brandon's fault.
But when we have problems on the show, it's his fault.
Yes, when we have problems on this show, yes, it could be. Not so much. So Brandon, you've been working on creating an app that's going to help DJs here. And by the way, for those of you watching the video, in the description of the video, you're going to see a link, instantdjrequest.com. You guys can go out there and kind of follow along to what Brandon's going to be talking about. Brandon, tell us a little bit about why you started putting this app together, this application.
Yeah, so I was, back in the day, I was a high school student at the high school dances and the proms, and I would see these groups of girls, the group of schoolgirls where they're like, pushing each other around and being like, no, you go request a song to the DJ. No, you go request a song. I don't want to talk to the DJ. No, you go do it. I don't want to do it. You do it. And then they're like all come up as a giant herd and then, nominate that one select tribute girl to stand up and nervously say that they want, party rock anthem or something like that. And I thought it's like, I've seen this exact same group of girls, pull out their phone, have no problem, Snapchatting and different things like that. So it's like, but if you did the exact same thing, but with song requests, and, that idea turned into an app that allows DJs to take, their song requests remotely. Mm-hmm. Which, and it just so happened with the whole COVID situation that helps DJs be more, distanced and separated from their actual audience and guarantee that not everyone has to come and crowd around the DJ booth.
Excellent. This is of course an application that is simple to use. This is what Brian Wright wanted me to mention. It's simple to use, simple to set up, and in his words, it's going to be at a killer price. So
every time I talk to Brian about that, every third word is simple.
Yeah,
he's like, I like it.
He likes the simplicity of a system. So why don't you pop that open, Brandon, and we can talk more about it. Again, if you guys want to go out to instantdjrequest.com and you guys can check it out as we're going along. Okay, I've got
should be able to see my screen now.
Yep, I can. Okay, so all three of us are on there with you. So now,
all right, cool.
we're looking at the front page now. This is
Yep.
internet.
This is where the DJs go to sign up. This is where you guys can go to sign up, log in. You can get a little bit of a refresher in case you forget what we go over here today. So it's pretty straightforward. You can generate QR codes. You can put your name, your face on it. You can have your audience submit requests, and then it pops up in a nice little dashboard for you to see. And it's pretty straightforward in that respect, but there are a couple bells and whistles that make it, in my opinion, pretty simple to use. And we can go here. This is a demo account. Let's create an event. Let's say what event are we going to make today?
Brandon's birthday party.
Birthday party. All right. Access code. Let's have it be party. So that's the access code that when people go to djrequest.app that they can type in manually if they don't have a QR code. So this is unique to my event. My description, I'm just gonna leave it blank because it's really not needed right now. I'm gonna create it. All right, Brandon's birthday party. Let's hop in there. Oh, I'm now awaiting requests. So nothing's gonna really happen right here because I still need to do one of two things. I either need to point people to djrequest.app where they can type in party as the access code, and then they can submit a song request. Or, and this is the more streamlined version that all your high school people are going to enjoy, you can generate QR codes within the app. So this QR code has my user's logo in it, which is clearly not stolen from anywhere. And what I can do is give people this QR code or this direct link. But so if you pull out your phone, take out your camera app, and hover it over the QR code, and it'll usually pop up and say open djrequest.app. You tap that, and it should bring you to a page like this. Now, you can see some people have already started submitting requests. Somebody did a first. Somebody did Party Rock Anthem.
I'm pretty sure I was first.
Okay.
And it was Party Rock Anthem.
Yeah.
So there we go. Requests are flocking in, I guess. So I guess when people make requests, one thing to note is, let's say, Fireflies by Owl City. I can type it in and it'll automatically come up with both the title and the artist if people want to choose that. So, and it'll search by both either the title or the artist. So you can basically weed out when people mistype things, I guess. So if I choose Fireflies by Owl City, it'll pop in. Someone put in first a second time.
It works.
Okay. I know that was you.
Yep.
But what it will do is it'll actually stack similar requests. So Darude Sandstorm, good choice. I want to request it too. Darude Sandstorm. All right. And let's see. So did you type that one in manually?
I did not do that one.
Okay. So the one negative about it is that if you type it in fully manually and don't use the dropdown, it sometimes has a little bit of problems because the artist and the title are flip-flopped. But let's say I just did the radio edit. There we go. So the exact same requests will stack up. This is a feature that is new since the last time we talked about this. I actually worked on this past weekend. I think I implemented this Saturday. So it's a brand new feature. So still kind of working out some little nooks and crannies there, but for the most part it works. So now let's go over some of the other neat features that you can do. You can mark a song as played. So let's say a lot of people really want to be first tonight. So let's say I played Darude Sandstorm. I can mark it as played. The request is played, pretty straightforward. It goes to a played tab that you can go and see if you want to have like a list to give. You'd be like, hey, these are the songs that were requested that I played throughout the night. This is an easy way to do that. And yeah, you can star requests. So like, let's say I really want to play Fireflies, but I can't fit it into my set right now. I want to save it for later. You can pin it to the top by starring it, and it'll pin automatically to the top. Now let's say Fireflies was an absolutely terrible choice of a request here, or let's say they typed in something vulgar or just unrelated. You have the ability to, of course, delete a request, but you can also suspend the person from submitting more requests. So you can either suspend them for 15 minutes or permanently. I'm feeling pretty gracious right now, so I'm going to do a 15-minute suspension. So I just suspended, effectively right now, I suspended myself, but this would work for, anybody else who has their phone out at a venue. So if I, make a song request, it will say, hey, you've been suspended for 15 more minutes. Now let's say you're doing a club or you're doing a bar, and if people see that message, they're going to get upset. We have you covered. Because what you can do is you can go into the event settings and turn on polite suspension messages, which now it'll say, oh, hold on. It'll say, thank you. Your DJ will be seeing your submission shortly. In their head, they're like, oh, this is great. The DJ got it. No, the DJ didn't. You're still suspended for 15 more minutes. But this will make it. Oh,
will it hold their stuff in queue for a while then, or will it
just not send it through?
So it never goes through.
Send it through. Nope. It drops it so that the DJ, when it suspends the people, they don't have to deal with it. So it'll help remove any potential tension with, hey, why did you suspend me? Like the guy's trying to be, in a bar setting, and especially when alcohol is involved, that might be a very useful feature. See, I can also show my logo and show the name on the form, so that instead of just submitting a song request, it shows the logo and submit a request for Brandon's birthday party. So there's some customization options there. There's more customization options on the way, but those are the main ones that are in there for now. And let's say you do an event, and let's say, I do this every Friday night gig. I have, my birthday is now every week. I'm going to be really old really quick, but my birthday party's every week. I want the same event. I want to print out the QR codes, put them on all the tables, but I only want to do that once. So what you can do is deactivate the event. And if it's inactivated or deactivated, inactive, it will say that the access code doesn't exist, making people think that it, doesn't exist, so that they don't send requests, and they can't send requests. Mm-hmm. So, in other words, you can have it so that they don't have to, you can turn on and off when you're receiving requests. The other thing you can do, so if I activate this back up again, I could clear out all the requests. If I'm done for a night and I'm going to do it again next week, but I don't want to see a last week's request in there, I can clear them out. It's pretty straightforward with that.
So I had a question that kind of was bouncing through my head. In the top there, you had about the access code, and we put in parties so that we had access to it. Is that what separated us from Brandon's birthday party versus Joe Schmo's prom?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the access code is unique to the event. And you can customize it to whatever you want. And that's like a shorthand way to get into it. It's kind of like if for those of you who've been in school in the past however long, you've heard of Kahoot, because they'll do like a number thing and you type in the numbers to get into an event, or like things like that. That's kind of what was the rough inspiration for this.
Okay.
Just a easy way for like if people don't have the QR code or don't have a way to read QR codes, which most people have smartphones, so that shouldn't be a problem. But if it is, this is a way to accommodate for those people.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So, Brandon, let's go back to the QR code again, please.
We will.
So now, what kind of options do you have for the QR code? Because now I'm seeing, the logo. You've got the logo right there. I mean, is that the only QR code that you've got right now, or can you change it?
Yeah, so I have a couple of different options right now for QR codes. So this is an embedded logo. Personally, I love this one. It looks like if you have a square, the only negative about this one is that it works best with squares,
Sure.
with square images or logos. But if you have a square logo, in my opinion, this one looks the absolute best. It's just gorgeous. You can have it centered, so you can, center it in and have it not take up the entire thing if that's more your preference, like a more casual event or something where you want it to not scream out your name sort of a deal. Other settings you can play with is, the QR code size might be useful with that, and the dot scale. So you can make the blocks blockier or less blocky, whichever way you want. The only thing is to keep in mind, depending on your picture, depending on the dot size, your reliability of your QR code scanning for different, your audience's phones might vary. The thing that I've always had the best luck with, which is the default settings I have here, is 0.35 on the dot scale. It's a good balance between not having a lot of dots in the way of your logo, but also having it really readable where phones can just pick it up
and go with it.
Yes. So
excellent.
And if branding's not your type, you can do a quick default QR code, which looks like this. Your run-of-the-mill default QR code that everyone has seen a million times. But there you go.
So you mentioned, of course, before the idea of printing that QR code, distributing that around the room, and that really would allow them to still interact with you, but not have to come up and talk to you face to face if they didn't want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what you can do right now, I'm trying to build on my next little list of features. One of the things is to have a pretty page generator, so you can just generate a branding page where it'll have some custom information you can put in there and print out with the QR code and instructions on how to submit requests. So you can just one-click print like 5 flyers and hand it off to the school, or go tape it on the wall of the bar you're doing a DJ event at, or the venue, whatever it is. But right now that is still in the works, so it's not fully released yet to everybody. So currently the only way to really do this is to take the QR code and embed it into your own documents, which I know some DJs are still going to prefer, so that will always be an option.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I personally really enjoy one-click documents, so that'll definitely be on its way.
So if a person were doing high school dances, and many schools like to put flyers up the week of the dance, hey, coming Friday night, whatever, is it possible that a person could implement that QR code so students could be ready to do requests at the show? Yes,
yeah. A lot of times schools, when they do the flyers, the DJ doesn't do the flyer, but the school, whoever's throwing it on, if it's a class, if one of the classes are doing it, they'll go and make the flyers and they'll distribute them amongst the school, and they have their fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is you can hand this QR code to them and say, hey, put this on the flyer and say that they can use this to submit requests. And you can generate this in advance. So you can create your event, generate this out, and basically whether you set it to deactive or just leave it sit, it really doesn't matter. But you can take and hand that off to the school. They'll put it in their flyers, and then students can see that.
And if you have it activated in advance, you could be collecting these requests leading into the event as opposed to just that one particular night.
Yes, you could. You could be taking requests the entire week of, or however long they have those flyers up. which is a lot cleaner than some of the solutions I've seen for that. Where personally, my school back home, when I was in high school, they had like, a giant sheet with like 2 columns that people would write in the name and artist and line up for. And when it comes to social distancing, lining up isn't really an option for that.
Not so much.
So the other benefit too is as a DJ, you can reassure your clients. You can be like, hey, I have a way to really make sure that people don't have to come in close contact with people that they're not going to already. If that makes any sense, lining up for things versus, let's face it, if you're at a venue, you're probably going to be interacting with, your little social bubble. If you go line up to do a request, you're going to have a whole ton of different people you interact with. This is just another way to say, hey, I'm on top of my stuff. I'm a standout DJ from the crowd. This is why you should hire me. And, could be very appealing.
I think you might have talked about this, but so if you haven't started the request or started the event, but you have created the event, and if somebody tries to send a request, what will they get?
If I have it created but not active?
Yes, created but not active. They will get what type of a message? So, again, at the school.
It will, if it's created but not active, it'll show up as it doesn't. The access code doesn't exist.
Okay.
So to anybody trying to make requests, it would feel the same as if the event just didn't exist in the first place. The reason being is so that people can't just randomly guess and it'll be like, oh, this event isn't active. So then they sit and keep trying, every day or two until they eventually catch you at an event. So it can help more make your event secret to your event. Because the other benefit of this is that you could actually have remote requests. So it doesn't have to be just your venue that you're at. You can have, people from anywhere in the world, in theory, make requests. It's just whoever you give that code to.
Excellent.
Nice. One of the things I'm liking about this, and there's, I think I even saw it in the chat at one point. Somebody mentioned, Virtual has their version of it. But one of the things I liked about this, it seems very easy to follow. The QR code seems like a no-brainer as far as, like you said, most people have seen them. If you have a smartphone, which is what you'd be using to do this with anyway, it's right there. You're not putting ask.the.dj/ 12,000 characters. It makes it nice and it's pretty straightforward. And I do like the doubling up. I think that's a really nice feature that you added there, so that you're not getting or not seeing, the same thing. I do with schools. I'll tell you right now, you're going to get everybody spelling it the wrong way, but if they don't use that drop down feature. But I do appreciate it. I think that there's a lot of awesome little qualities here that are just you can tell you've put more thought into this than the average person, I think, would have.
Thank you. Yeah, the design philosophy I've been following throughout all of this has been, how can I make it as dead simple as possible, especially from the user standpoint. So that's why, my biggest thing was I don't want them to download an app, because let's face it, if you're at a venue and you're with a DJ and the DJ is doing its thing and you're like, I really want to request a song, and you see that, oh, I just have to download an app, that instantly just, you cut off a huge portion of the people that would make a request right there. And then you have to log in or sign up. There's another sliver of the population that would make requests that had the energy to download the app, but now, no, I'll just delete it. Not worth the work. Or worse, they'll see that and be like, too much work. I'll just go talk to him instead. And then that defeats the whole purpose. So literally the entire operation is, the only typing they do is on the request page. You pull out phone, scan the QR code, which is just, and like on iPhones particularly, you swipe, open the camera, and then you hover it over, you tap the open button, and then it brings you straight to the page, and it auto focuses onto that input field. So you just type in whatever you want, you hit submit, and then you lock your phone. You're done. You submitted your request. You can submit more if you'd like, but that's how you can do it in 3 easy steps.
Okay, so I got a question here, Brandon. With the right now, your birthday party event that you have is no longer live, correct?
My birthday party event is live.
Oh, it is. It is live. Okay, so if it's live, then requests will come in as it is right now. Once you shut it off, requests will not be able to come in because they will say that it's not active.
Yes.
What happens to the requests that are already there?
So if I deactivate this event, so now requests cannot come in. It's inactive. I launch it back up, but I can still see all of the requests that were in there are still here. I would have to either go and clear them out. I could mass clear them out in the settings, where there's the clear all requests option. Or I could just, let it sit. Or I could, give it to the client and say, hey, here's all the requests that came in for it. You have a little bit of flexibility on that. And worst case scenario, if you delete something and you really, really need it back, or you accidentally delete an event, there's a support option here where you can send me, a various array of just general support, or there's a live chat where you can live chat me, and I tend to respond really, really quick. And if if something is deleted, I can resurrect it from the dead a little bit manually, unless a given time has passed. So it has a little limbo phase in case you accidentally delete something you didn't mean to.
Excellent. Let's see. I want to put
Is there, and if it's not, I'm putting in a feature request for you.
Right.
Because I saw that button, but I've got the man right here. I'm just going to ask him. You have your request list. Is there a way, because you mentioned about giving it to the couple, hypothetically, let's say we're going to do that. Is there a way to dump that into a text file?
As of right now, no. That is when I mentioned my list of next things to get at that involve the QR code page generator. Using that same page generator logic, building out here's a dump of all of the requests, the active requests, and then the played requests would be 2 different columns that would basically just you can print out, or you could just grab a text file of, or whatever you need, just to hand over to your client and say, hey, this is what happened. This is why I was a good choice as a DJ. This is why this has enabled a more meaningful connection to the people in your venue.
I see it a lot. My personal thought was I keep going back to the schools thing, and if you have this in advance, and there could be, especially if you're doing it for a week, or a month, or however long the flyers are up, that request list could be
hundreds. Hundreds.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if some things are different. So having that text file would be a nice way to organize or whatever we might have, or just to kind of say, okay, here's my paper copy that I'm going to have beside, and then anything that comes in the event, it's over here, and I've got both that to be able to work with.
Yeah, you could. Another big part that having that sort of text dump would be able to do is, let's say you take a month in advance requests, and it's a first school dance. Kids don't always necessarily choose what's best for what your management likes. So you can take this list and say, hey, here you go, school staff member, you can review these, and if there's any songs you don't want me to play, you can mark them as not. And you can do the same thing for weddings and things too. Be like, hey, bride and groom, here's the list we have. What do you think of it? And you might find out that somebody requested a song that the bride and groom absolutely hate as one of those very, very not good jokes. And you would have played it because you wouldn't have known better, but they were able to vet that out for you before anything bad happened.
Nice. I also see a benefit to this. I'm giving ideas here, and you've got a great product here. But one of the thoughts I also had, you talked about the guests making it. Think about, I don't know how many times I've had the couple say, "Oh, we put those little request cards into our invitations, and we sent them out, and we got this huge list of songs. What's the best way for me to get that to you?" And I hate to tell them, but I'm like, type it. You know, but if I have this, I mean, all you have to do here's the QR code, send it out with your invitations the same way as you were going to do. You're going to dump it, you know, they're going to dump it to me. You don't even have to handle it. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to do anything with it. It's all good to go. Is there a way to give them guest access to this so that they could peruse that?
That is also like
Another
feature number three on my list of features is being able to share events so that other people can, like, you know, a read-only view, so you can see it but not interact with it. Yeah, that one is also in the works. The other thing that you just gave me the idea of, I guess, with that is when people send out and say, hey, where's your song request? Instead of sending out something that they write out and send back, they could just give them the QR code. So that would work. Otherwise, like, being able to just enter them in. I'd like to think that the text and input. Oh, I have it disabled. Yeah, that's what it will respond with if it's disabled. So if I re-enable it here, I'd like to think that just typing it in and hitting enter is easy, but I know that might not be easy enough for some people, so I might look into making a bulk input method of some sort. But
you'd have to have some sort of limit, though, because otherwise you'll have a kid who will copy and paste the top 100 from some horrible era, or they'll copy.
Yeah, that would be if there was a bulk input, it would be something that would be more so where you could only do from either the DJ side, where they would hand them a giant text file, or where it would be done through some sort of secret page that you'd have to sign up for or something like that. So it'd be a little bit more, you know, you'd have to put a little bit more in to do it than just, you have to do a little bit more registration up front to validate who you are and restrict it a little harder than just, oh, I'm just somebody on the web that went to this app and typed in the access code and are now going to flood the system with, you know, God knows what.
Huey Lewis requests. I've heard there's people who do things like that. I don't know where they are.
Who likes Huey?
Yeah.
But anyone that does, you know, requests that are, you know, vindictive or whatever, you can suspend them. And then they won't be harassing you for 15 minutes or permanently, depending on how it's set up.
Now, I'm just curious, is that permanent ban by the event, or would it be across multiple events?
Yeah, so those suspensions are per event. Okay. And the reason they are is because if they weren't, if I suspended you at my event and the person went over to your event and you use the same software, there would have to be another layer of abstraction in order to figure out, okay, is he suspended for my event or your event or both of our events? And making it event-based was just, it was a lot more reliable in terms of how suspensions work. So that was the design choice between that, and they're pretty effective for what they do. If you have people bouncing events that need suspension and it's actually causing problems, feel free to let me know and we'll figure out some sort of solution for everybody. But I do not really foresee that as a problem.
But you never know.
You never know. As a software developer, you got to plan for the worst, but then everyone somehow figures out, like, oh, I never thought of that. Like, for instance, the Brian was the one who kind of suggested a, like, consolidating into this, you know, where multiple requests get put into one, so it doesn't, you know, flood your view when everybody's like, oh, request this song, and everyone's like, hey, if all of us request the same song, the DJ is sure to play it. Now, instead of flooding you with a whole ton of different entries, we can have it give you a nice little indicator of how many people have requested it.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, Brandon, we're going to wrap things up here. We are getting towards the end of the show tonight. Thank you guys for being with us this evening. Looking ahead to tomorrow night, Tuesday evening, We're going to have Ben Stowe on at 9 o'clock Eastern, and we're going to go through some of your gear questions. If you've got questions about gear, we'll be covering those tomorrow night. It's going to be more of a Q&A night for tomorrow night. Then in the 10 o'clock show with Jay, Brian, and myself, we're going to look at, Jay had an event this past weekend. I had an event this past weekend. So we're going to do that. And if we wrap up and have some time, we were going to do some of the timed questions for tomorrow night. We'll just see where the night goes. But I'm guessing that might become next week's show, because once Jay starts talking about events, we'll probably be there for the rest of our time. So, yeah. Brandon, thanks for coming in tonight and showing us some updates.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah. And I'm very receptive to feedback. So if there's something that's like, hey, I really would like, so this sort of functionality or like any feature request, I'm all open ears with that.
Yeah, I've got a few. I made some notes here. You had some folks throwing some ideas out in the chat rooms. That a couple of really good ideas there, and I'll share those with you after the show. So
sounds good. I look forward to it. Thank you guys.
Yeah, Dan, take us home.
All right. So on that note, thank you very much for taking time to join us tonight. Hopefully you learned quite a bit about this awesome application. And I tell you, I'm pretty excited about it. And I just kind of heard about it tonight. But on that note, thank you very much. DJNTV.com/chill. The chill room is open here in a few moments, if not already. I think actually it's probably been open for about 15 minutes now. So go ahead, check that out. Talk, have fun, enjoy your night. We'll see you next time.
Night, everybody.
Bye.